Hey, so I'm back again to work on this gun a bit more. I don't have it in smooth mode right now. I temporarily took it out because I'm selecting some polys, and what I'm going to do with selecting these polys actually is I'm going to break it into a section, probably a few sections, and it's not because they're identical sections this time, but I do want to work on them separately anyways. And that's just because sometimes it's more manageable to break things into a smaller section. And I think I'm just going to grab the shader so that I can see this a little bit better, because when it's transparent, it's kind of hard to see sometimes. Oh yes, you can just double click to select a row. It would be nice if it worked when it's like the top of a cylinder like this, but actually then you have to do it manually. Normally I would just make a marquee select, but because there's other geometry inside there I don't want to touch. It's a little more, I have to be a little more careful. Now I've got some of this selected and I don't actually want it selected, so I'll just press 4 and try to see if I've got anything else in here that shouldn't be selected. Yeah, it looks, I don't think there's any selections on there. Okay, so then you just go to Mesh and Extract right here. Okay, so now this is, and when you do that, the instance on the other side that you're using to see your whole shape, it will disappear. And when I press 3, it still smooths the same way. I'm actually going to make a few more changes before I smooth this. So I'm going to actually, this has like the area that's most jagged that I want to smooth out more. So I'm going to actually break this into another piece as well. And I'm also going to do an extrude here. I think I might just fix this. So this seems about right. And I'll do the operation again. And bring it in a lot closer to the middle. So the first thing I'm going to smooth is this. Not sure why that's happening there. I actually just needed to delete my history there. Now it's smooth, and because I really want this area quite round, I'm going to do it twice. And then there's quite a bit of geometry that I don't really need here. The geometry that makes no difference to the profile. So I'll select these types of edge loops. Don't really need these, but I do need all these. This one maybe not. And what I can do is just delete all of these except the corners, because then like we'll actually lose those little corners. I think I accidentally deleted one over here. I had this piece selected by accident, and I didn't mean to. Sometimes it's good to separate things on different layers so that doesn't happen. So this shape is curving how I want it to now. Probably need, let me see, do I need the rest of these edges? I might be able to get rid of this one also here. But everything else is contributing to this curve, so I'm going to leave the rest of that alone. Okay, so now moving on to this piece. So I'm actually going to I'm going to put another edge in here because I think this is going to smooth really strangely. I guess I'll probably make use of it too because I have this detail. You can see that detail there, so I might as well. And I think I'm going to put this on another layer so I don't have to, so it's not in the way constantly. Yeah, so I want to get my detail to be like kind of parallel with that area there, like running in the same direction. Actually, I'm going to get this one for free from the smooth, so I shouldn't have put that there. I'm not going to need that. Oops. Okay, so I think I'm ready to smooth this one now. Seems ready. I don't want it to smooth weird, so I'm going to do a freeze transformations, or do a delete history, freeze transformations, and go back to modeling, and go to smooth. And one smooth is good for this one because it would just be way too high if I did more. And this is for a game engine, like this is definitely like high enough. You know, it's close enough to round for me. And I think these are close enough to round over here, right? So I don't want to go too much higher than them on this other circular area because I want to go for consistency so that some areas don't look way higher resolution than other areas. So something I can do here to help me see what I'm doing is I can harden these edges that are creased so I can get a better look at how this piece is shaping up. So I have them selected, and then I can just go to hard edge. And similarly with a piece like this, I would like it to be soft edged because I don't really want to see the hard edges. There's no reason to be looking at them. So there's a couple edges I can remove here that are just like extra that I don't need. I totally don't need this one. Don't need this one. Or this one. These ones up here I'm going to work with quite a bit. I'm a little bit unsure about if I want to use this one or not. I think I'm going to remove some of it because I think right here is a better place for it to connect. And I'm also going to be pulling some of it down to make this detail. So I'm going to move this edge down now. I'm going to do this by grabbing the move tool, pressing Control and Shift at the same time. So that gives me this slide option for the edge. And then I can just slide it down to where I want. I should probably look at another view to see how close I'm getting. Somewhere like that. And I'm going to just turn this off. The Control, Shift, and Drag with the Translate tools, if you're not familiar with this, what it does is it's a constraint when you're doing this action. With any of them, it can be like, I'll do it with Rotate now. So I can rotate this edge, and it's like, it's the same as sliding the edge on the surface without changing anything about the surface. Now I'm just rotating it instead. But it's not changing the angle of the surface at all. It's not changing the profile, the silhouette at all. So this is cool. This is a new thing in Maya, and I'll keep reminding you guys about it next term too. I love to use this and talk about this with hard surface, so I'll keep reminding you about it if you aren't using it, because it's very helpful. And of course you can do the same thing with scale too, so, but I don't use that as much. Usually it's used on, so there you go. See, I've got it like right in place, maybe a little more. Now it doesn't feel straight enough to me, so I need to move it again. So now I'm going to look at the top. Notice I'm using that same function, the transform constraint, and I'm using it on a single point this time. So useful. So I'm having one of these moments right now where I have to negotiate my design, because from the top I really like it to stick out this much like this. I like this shape, and I like it to be, I definitely need it to be straight over here. This edge is right against here because I'm deciding if I want it here, because from the front then I get more of a curve. You see, I can start curving from here, and I like that there's more of a curve here, and that's why I have this edge right here, so it can be the border to this like place that will be negative space here. It'll be like a little black hole. But if I do this, then it's not going to have this nice shapely curve here anymore. It's going to be it's going to change the design over here, and the sides are going to be so big. So yeah, I'm trying to decide if I want it like this, and I want to make this whole part have less of a shape. It won't move out as much, or not. Turning the shader on kind of helps, because I can see how weird it looks better when I have the shader on, when I have all this space over here, and I just don't think I'm going to like it as much like that. It's gonna, it's going to look like a hairdryer, and I don't want that. So yeah, I'm gonna go with pulling it back over this way, like the original design from the top, and I'll just live with how it looks from the side. Or, try to make it work, move some other edges around. So I've done a bit more work here, organizing the vertices on the top area. And I've made this little socket or sort of inset area where I can put this other piece, the piece here that's going to fit inside of it. And I'll select the geometry I need to make this piece. You have to be quite careful when you're selecting individual polys and you have the move tool on, because as you can see, it's very easy to accidentally extrude when you don't want to. And I like some of these new settings on the transform tools, like the transform constraint that I was talking about, but I don't really like how easily the extrude comes up, because I do end up accidentally extruding and then making a big mess out of my geometry sometimes. So I'm going to go to Edit Mesh and Duplicate. And then I'm going to move it up like this for now. And what we've got here is a separate piece of geometry. And I'll just check back and see. Okay, so I want to have a division in it over here, and that's fine. It can be in a different area because it doesn't matter, right? This piece is not going to be connected to that piece. So I'm going to bring this up here. Oh, and now I can use this extrude function. It's not a problem. And again, all of this whole gun's going to be duplicated, so I don't need these inside edges. They can just be deleted. I'll center that, and I'll press Insert and center that again by pressing X. First it went to the object center, and then I just moved the pivot point to the world, or it is in the, just to the middle axis line. So now I'm going to see, how does this fit here? I'm not really going to need these polygons on the bottom side either. Nobody will see those, so we can get rid of those. And I want to make sure that there's a little bit more space here. Now this isn't, I'm not quite sure if this is really working for me. I'm actually going to make the gap a bit narrower. So this area looks pretty good now. It is a flat-sided area, so I've optimized it a lot. It has no curves on this side, and when I bevel it later, then these triangles won't. I might bevel it twice and have some more rows in here, so these triangles aren't touching the actual edge of the shape. But for now, I'm just going to work with the least amount of geometry possible, because I'm not at the final stage where I want to do all the edges just yet. And, oops, this is what it looks like without this piece. Is like, I'm going to call it done for now. And I don't think I really need this row over here. And I may just connect this row to here for now. It's on a flat area, so it's not going to be noticeable. Hopefully not. Yeah, I'm not noticing that one there. So now I want to move down to this area down here and point out that I worked on this area a bit. I connected these two pieces. If you remember, they were separate before. And there's like another separation here where these two different parts are fastened together. So sort of like a seam. So I made the shapes here that I want, but and I tried to optimize a bit around them, but there's a problem because sometimes if a surface is really close to being a completely flat surface, you can get away with optimizing on it the way you would on a flat surface. But actually here, I tried it, and you can see these lines are here, and they aren't hard edges, they're actually like soft edges, and it's not just down here where there's triangles, it's just like the orientation of these edges up here that are leaving a mark. If the surface isn't flat and you have edges close together, they're going to make some kind of you're going to notice them, right? It's going to look like that surface is being pulled together in that area. It'll be like a corner is starting to form where you don't want one. And then down here, I am getting away with it more down here. Like I can't really notice that part. Or actually from over, if you look at it from this angle, you can notice that it is there, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, because I think like everything's pretty straight here, I'm going to break this apart. Same thing I've been doing, break this apart into another piece. And then I can have this geometry, I can work on it separately and have them fit together, but I can like bring the edges down in a straight fashion so that they don't make those unpleasant marks on the surface, because they won't actually have to connect exactly to these other. So I've removed some of the edge loops and I've straightened out the other ones here, and you can see there is significantly less of that unwanted creasing. It's still not perfect, but I'm going to keep working with this. And yeah, I evened these ones out up here so that I could have these ones down here like more evenly spaced, and I'm going to continue that on over here as well. Just see if I can get some even spacing here. Sometimes that's what you need to do. You just need more edge loops on areas that are subtly curving, because it's very evident when the edge loops are close together and they're just in one area. It'll leave a mark. So you can see that these ones here aren't connected to anything. I'm going to try to make another edge row or edge loop that runs along here to sort of make a border, and then I can connect them to the border. I'll see how that works. So you can see that the shading looks pretty smooth here with that line added. And I'm going to add in a couple more connecting points. So I've been working on this a bit more, and there's a few things I want to go over. But first I'm going to try the Circularize function over here. So you see it's made this group of polys into a perfect circle. And I don't like the orientation of the circle. I want to twist it, so just try to get it in a good spot. That looks pretty good. Now to see how many sides I have here. So I have 12 sides, and let's see here. Yeah, I have 12 sides there as well. I think I might actually, instead of using the cylinder, I might just extrude this piece instead. It might be the easier thing to do. I might check this first though and see what the shading looks like on it. So not too bad. It doesn't look super bumpy. It just looks noticeable that there's a circular piece there. I'm also interested to see if my circle is showing up right where the end of where I want something to extrude is going to extrude from. So it's not quite in the right place, so I might actually stretch these items a little bit so I can pull them back. Alright, I think that's better. The placement is a bit better there. So now I'll grab... I'm actually going to extrude them just a little bit at a time. But you can see I have a problem here. I need to customize the pivot point around which I will be rotating this object, because otherwise it just won't be easy. So I need to, if I double click on my tool and then I go to the tool settings and I press edit pivot, then I'm able to get things in relatively the right orientation. And it's a little bit challenging because it is on an angle here. So I just have to look at this as straight as I can. And there's also perspective in the view, and perspective makes this a bit more challenging. I'm going to try to line up these sides. So that looks pretty good. Let's check this one more time. It looks pretty good. So then I will just let it go, and now my pivot point is in the right place. And also my other transform tools are as well. So I want to try to make this little shape of this little projectile thing that is kind of sticking out. And I'm probably going to delete a lot of faces after, but I just want to see if I can get the basic shape in here. I actually forgot to mention, you also have to check this little box here, or else the next time you extrude, it goes right back to the old orientation. How annoying is that? If you want to extrude a whole bunch of times, of course you want it to stay the same. Yeah, actually, you know, I just kind of thought that the program would have this. I haven't used it before, and it's because you can do this in 3D Coat, and I've been working in there a lot, so that's something great about learning all the different programs. Even though you start pressing the wrong hotkeys, you start to just understand like the logic of like what tools tool designer programmers would make for artists, and then you kind of want to go seek them out in the current program you're in. If you have never found that tool in there, you're kind of like, hey, maybe this tool exists. So that's one of the good things that comes out from having to learn so many programs at school all at once. Oh, that's going to make too sharp of a corner. I want the change to be pretty gradual here. So I'm looking at it in this view at the same time as the other view. That looks pretty good, I think. So you can see this little piece here, it like extends right to the front to this little area, and it gets really narrow. So the front of this is quite narrow right now, so I can just pull it over here, and I can take these and I can scale them so that they're flat, like the way I drew the front of it. These are quite large shapes here, so I'm trying to see if I can get that large shape to look okay from the side and in perspective. So I wanted to work on this piece a little bit more by hand to shape it and make it look a bit more mechanical, because it was looking a little bit too organic with just those loops. And it's easier to do this with using the symmetry function. However, a piece of geometry has to be symmetrical. It has to have a piece running down the middle, and it needs to be on one of the axes. So I deleted the extra geometry that was on the side of this piece. I guess like I'll just turn on it was sort of like this. So I just rotated it up there and deleted that geometry so that it's symmetrical. And I just cut a line down the middle of it. And if you don't use the symmetry function, you probably already know about it. You just hold down Control and Shift, and it comes up, and then you can choose Object or World and the axis that you want to use. So then afterwards, I rotated it back into place and reconnected it with the rest of the geometry. And then in order to get the other sections there, then I would go to Duplicate Special. And then I would go to, I would divide 360 degrees of a circular object, like this one will be when the sections are reconnected. I would divide that by how many sections there are. So I would divide it by 3. There's going to be 3 sections, and they all have like 9 edge rings on them. Anyways, I would divide 360 by 3, so then it's 120 degrees that I need to rotate it by, and I need 2 of them because I already have 1. So then in rotate, I think it would be, let's see, it needs to rotate around the Z. So, I already have it written in here. So 120, so X, Y, Z, right? So then you put 120 here, hit Duplicate Special, and then you get all your sections there. And then I had, like, even when I did that, I ended up, things look different when you have all the sections there. And then I pushed and pulled like them a little bit, like I combined 3 of these, and then I pushed and pulled like a few of the verts together on all of them, which sort of made it easier to uniformly change them. I also wasn't making any big changes, but yeah, I still might change it a bit more. I don't know. It's like one of those parts of the design that I just didn't have time to really think that much about and work out, and it does look a little bit organic. So yeah, I might go back and change that more. And then over here, I've got another sort of radial situation over here that I've been working on already. And this piece is really, this one I'm really referencing a lot from part of the Tracer Overwatch gun, but I've changed it a bit, like I've altered it to be my own thing. And I only want, this piece is different from this piece, as you can see here. This piece is going to have like a glowing light on it, and then this piece just has these like little gaps that I've put in here. And I'm going to have another piece that's the same as this piece here. So again, I would go back and grab the Duplicate Special. Oh, actually, I think there's something else. Yeah, I'll show you after. So this time, I don't want to rotate it there. I think this time it's going to be, let's see, be rotating it on the X this time. And I only want 1. Oh, maybe it wasn't the X. Whoops. Or maybe sometimes if I don't hit, sometimes it makes a difference if I've deleted history as well. But I'll just try it on the Y and see if I'm confused here about what axes I should be using. Okay, there we go. So, still looks to me like I'm rotating around the X, but it claims that it's the Y. Oh well. If you're unsure, you can always just try them. It's really quick. So I also wanted to just make sure that you're aware of the collapse tool, the collapse edge tool. It's something that I I use a lot when I am cleaning things up, when I'm optimizing. So I don't really feel like these are necessary, these edges here. And if you have like tons of them, you know, you can always select one and then double click the next one, and then you're going to select like a whole bunch of edges. But all those other edges, I actually need them. I just don't need those. Don't want to be selecting that one. Let's take a quick check here and see if anything else looks like it's selected. Nope. And collapse is right here. So yeah, that's something I do when I'm just getting rid of extra faces and extra edges.